Yeah. I don't know if I'm audible enough. Can anyone hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
Okay, great. Great. Okay, so let me share my screen. So in our today's class, we'll be working on we're on JavaScript. So we'll continue what we had on JavaScript. On our Tuesday's class, for those that joined, I saw that we actually worked on BMI. That's a kind of calculator that calculates the weight and height. So in our today's class, what we'll be working on is to-do list. So it's just to get more concepts of what JavaScript entails on how we can actually connect our JavaScript with our HTML, and also how most of the events, that's event listening, um, the query selector, the get element by ID, the class list, just basics of JavaScript majorly. So before, I've actually created an HTML boilerplate with some content inside. Then I also have my CSS written. Don't worry about the code of this. I'll be sharing the code. That's the HTML and CSS file on what's it called, on GitHub. So I'll also be dropping the link on the channel, on Slack channel. And one of the ways I would want us to have this class is if you have questions, raise up your hand. But I would also prefer that we take questions, just let's say 15 minutes or 20 minutes at the close of class, so that we don't have to like rush things. And also, I would also prefer that when you understand something, please call my attention back to it by raising up your hand. I don't know if that's okay. Hello.
Yeah,
I'll
that,
look
It's okay,
yeah.
it's okay.
Okay, great, 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 great. Yeah. So what I have here, this is what I have here, which for now does nothing. So if I type in anything, add item, does nothing. So it does not even refresh, you just put the item there and submit. Let me just do a quick explanation of what is happening here. So I have a div, and that's HTML CSS for those who pick the class also, or who have little idea. But although it's not necessarily have the full idea of HTML CSS here, it's just for understanding of the JavaScript. So I will not be going into details of HTML CSS. Then you have your text area, which is more like an input. Then you have your button. Then you also have a what is it called here? A div here, which is actually having a class of to-do list. And the function of this div is to take in datas, to take in what you actually send. So when I send something here, my expectation is the div should actually undo the item that is being sent. So all that being said, now I'll move to my JavaScript. And one of the first things that I will do in my JavaScript when I'm trying to connect my HTML, yeah, I've actually connected my JavaScript here, which is in there the JavaScript script, SRC, that's like the source. Then in there the HTML. All of this, I believe, we must have gone through all of this connection in our previous classes. So without wasting much time, sorry, I'll be one of the things I would want to do is to connect my HTML to JavaScript, and also touching what I need to, that's like hitting all these milestones, so that whenever I type in something, then click this button, something is being sent. So you could see I have what is it called text area, which is actually what is I'm doing this. So I need to connect this to my JavaScript. So that's like I want to select elements from my HTML. So let me just comment that, and I'll just say select elements from HTML. I'm commenting so that you'll be able to understand what is going on. So to do that, I will just use what's it called const. That's constant. We have variables, we have constant, we have lets. All of them have different functions. Const is something that cannot be changed. So that's the function of const. So I can say const, and I would say, let me just give it a name. Let me say input.
So I can ask for a favor. I don't know if you can copy the HTML code and paste on the chat box, because so that we can be like working like as side by side as you're working.
The issue about that, which I will not want to allow, is because you're working side by side, there's a very big possibility that as I'm coding and you're coding also, you would have an error. Then at that point, you would have to ask questions for me to go back and fix. So I would advise one of the best way to actually learn is listening. And after listening, the video is going to be provided. You can watch it again. Then when you watch it again and you've understood most of the concepts, then you can now start coding along. That's the best way to learn. But if you are coding along with your tutor, that's what makes most developers, when they code along with a YouTube video, they actually get lost at a point. And if you tell them to recode that code at that point, I'm not sure they will be able to do that because they don't understand the main concept. So I would want us to understand the main concept while we follow. So just let us do a lot of talking. I don't know if that's okay.
All right, fine.
Okay, yeah. So I would have this, that's const. Then I would need to actually get into my HTML. So I'll use the core function document, which when I over on document, it has what it's doing. So that's like variable document dot query selector. Query selector is actually, I want to select an element. That's an element that matches this selector. That's like maybe it says whatever I want to undo. So what I want to undo is actually dot. The first thing I want to undo is my text area, which is this. So what I will just do is this, then dot. Let me just copy the name here so that I don't make mistake. Text area. Okay. Then one of the other things I would like to undo is the button. That's this button, so that I will be able to get when it's clicked, I want something to hear. So what I'm just trying to do now is I'm trying to connect both things together, including this. So I'm trying to draw what would happen. Button, and then I can just give it I like the TDL ly, the TDL rather. That's to-do list. Then I'll do the same thing, document dot query selector. Then now I'll be targeting the button input. So it's the class of the button input. The dot is actually an FRC that this is class. If it's an hash, that's like ID. So with that being said, so the next one I'll be targeting is now the const that will be the const list, to do list. That's, I'm trying to target this to do list here now. Yes, sir.
Sorry, this your variable names. It's not better to give it
I don't know if you're closer to, we are using an earpiece, please. I would prefer if you can remove it. Yeah, I can hear you. Can you hear me
now?
No.
Yeah, so this is our variable.
Huh? Okay, I think maybe we can type it, or are you trying to tell me to zoom? Okay. If you can type it, I'll try to check the comment section. So now I've been able to list everything I need. But one of the next thing I need after doing this is now I need to define what happens, a function that will undo the button click. So that when somebody clicks this button, what should happen to this input? So I need to define what happens to it. So that's what I can now. Let me just put define function. I like commenting, but it's not like when I'm actually very serious in coding, that if it's getting tedious, I forget to comment. But comment helps a lot.
Hi, Mr. Toby.
Yes.
Okay, I've been raising my hand for quite a while. I want to ask a question. I didn't really get your explanation for what query selector is, and I wanted to ask, couldn't you have done the document.getElements by class, or isn't there something like that? Why are we using query selector?
Query selector is just like a general, it handles both class or ID.
Okay, but if we use get elements by class, we're not wrong.
Not wrong.
Okay.
Yeah. So as you can see, return the first element that is Z answer on the node that matches selector. Just ignore that actually. So that's just it. I don't know if that answered the little of your question.
Yes,
Though,
thank you.
that 15 minutes, I'll try to like explain more about all of those selectors as we go, so that we don't have waste much of our time here. Because I think, let me check, please a minute. Okay, I don't think there's another class, so I think we might actually have more time to finish. Okay. So with that being said, and I need to define the function that would undo that's the button click. Give me a minute, please. Okay, sorry, I'm back. Apologies. I needed to attend to something. Yeah. Okay. So now I need to actually define a function that will handle my button clicks. And that's where the add events listener comes in. So what I'll just do is, what I need to target is the button, which is the button click. So I will add this, then dot add event listener. And what add event listener does is listening to something. So add event listener can take a lot of different properties. It can take click, it can take on over, it can take there are a lot of different properties, maybe on submit properties that can take. What it just does is it takes when you actually click, maybe click or even over on the property. It might not be just button alone, it might be anything. So now, but for this purpose of this course, we're actually going through for it to actually take a button click. So now, what action did I want it to do? As I said, I want it to click because now I'm not using the submit button. I'm using because if it's a submit, I would have used type submit, I would have said on submit. But for this, I'll be using click. So you can see, okay, add event listener. This is just, it takes different properties. This is not doing justice, it's not doing justice to what I want to explain. So I'll say on click. All this click that I'm adding here, it understands what it means. So you don't just think you can add any other thing, like maybe a touch. No, all these have their own meaning that inside this. So having that, I would want it, what I want it to do, then I want it to actually undo an event. So I'll put a comma here, then I would say E. So because it's an event I want to undo, so I would say E inside the brackets. Then I would say, then this arrow sign, then I will draw up this. So that is what happens. E is actually an event. You can either write it in full or just shorten it. Then now I'm trying to also put E dot default. E dot prevent default, rather prevent default. Then I would close this. And what I'm trying to do with this at this point is I don't want it that when I click on the button, I don't want to refresh, because now it's going to undo it like a submit. So I'm trying to avoid it from refreshing. So that when I type in things and I click add, it does not refresh. Okay, so back to him. Then I would now say, one thing I can actually put, let me just show you how that form is being handled before I even proceed. So let me do console.log. So let me put something like clicked me. Let me say you clicked me. So let's see how this is, what happens with this. So let me just open up my terminal. Let me open up my terminal. My console. So let me clear up everything here. So let me say I don't even need to click I just need this. You can see even without anything here. So now I can actually get the response. If I click it, it tells me you clicked me. If I click it, it keeps on telling me you clicked me. So now I've been able to touch the button with just this function. Button add events listener, click. So now I've been able to get that button. So what I need to do now is I need to make sure that when an input is there, it captures that input. Then when I click it, it performs an action. So before I even do that, let me show you how that input is actually done. So let me do const item. Let me do const item equals, so that I can see how the input is actually input TDL dot value. So now I'm targeting item. Take the value of this input. That's what I'm trying to tell item. It should take the value of the input. Then now, I'm just giving you an instance so that you understand what is happening. If not item.
Hold on. Hello, Toby.
Yes.
Your value is not correct.
Oh, thank you very much. Thank you. I would have gotten an error. Thank you. So let me just say alert. I'm just showing you an instance of what happened when I want to accept and when I'm not accepting anything. So alert, then I can say, okay, let me just move this sarcastic a little. Please press money. So the function of this alert is just please press money. Then else, let me add an else. Let me do a console.log, then bracket, and I'll say money pressed successfully. So let me save this. So let me refresh. Let me cancel. The reason why I'm having all of these plenty things is I have a lot of extensions that I have enabled. So now let me, without doing anything, so let me first of all click on add item. You see, it told me because the item is empty. It's trying to tell me, oh, please press money. That means now it knows that nothing is being passed into this. So I'm giving why I can actually connect the item together. So let me do now an item inside this. Then if I click on this, it now said money pressed successfully. So with this input item dot value, I'm able to like connect the button click with the input. But this is not what I want to do actually. What I want to do is I want to pass it into this to-do list. I want to pass whatever is being sent so that it shows under my to-do list, and I can either mark it as done. Normal to-do list. That's I believe most everybody should have come across to-do list. That's trying to put your item together and trying to say, okay, I have these things to do today. I have this to do tomorrow. Just like structuring your timeline. So let me just remove this because it's not what I want to do. I just really wanted to give you guys an instance of how this would work when you do this. So now going forward, what I need to do is I would like to do const. I need to first of all set what should happen first because I wrote a style. I need to add some things here so that when it comes in, my whatever is being sent does not just look awful. So I need to like add some few styles which I would explain. So first thing I would want to do is I can say dot item all. That's all my items. I'm just giving it a name. Const. Then I can say document dot create element. I'm trying to create an element into this div. That's because of my style, of my styling. I'm trying to create an element into this div so that whenever I do anything, it just automatically converts so that I don't have, when I do first item, that's like it comes here. I don't need so that everything will not be into one thing so that I can section them. They can be differently. I don't know if you understand what I'm trying to say a bit. Can somebody give me a response? Okay, we don't understand what I'm trying to say.
I don't really understand, sir.
Okay, let me see. I should go to Figma. Figma is actually too large to do. Oh,
Toby,
yes,
I think it would be helpful if there's like a reference, something you have to look upon, whilst you're doing this.
that's the box, like the drawing.
Like, yeah, everything. Seeing like when you talked about the items, I think you were trying to explain like a checkbox. When
Yes, yes.
okay,
Okay, okay, I think that might even be okay. I was trying to draw it up. Let me just do list images. So well, let me just draw it up. It should not take me up to 5 minutes to draw it up. Yeah, this actually taking me 2 hours.
You can use escalidraw.com.
This is almost done. This is almost done. So that you guys can visualize what I'm trying to like explain so you don't get lost. Do you say escalate draw? Okay. Or do I need to actually add a folder or something? Okay, no. Okay, so now this is it. This is the input part. But now when I submit something, I want something that when I'm here, I'm able to send a submit. This is submit button. This is submit button. So when I click on submit, I want to create a div so that whatever I write here, whatever I input here, will be sent there here. So now me creating a div would help me so that whenever I click submit, it automatically creates another box for me. Instead of me clicking submit, then it comes to one same div, because if you could see from here, we only have one single div. But for me to be able to create other divs, that's other divs to be able to section the different elements, then I need to do this. So I'm trying to say now, document.this, whenever I click submit, it should create a new div, but now I'll need to section, I'll need to add a new div. I'll still point it to where it's going to actually put the div. So I don't know if you understand what I'm trying to like explain a bit now.
It's starting to make sense. So just continue then, maybe that way.
So that we could actually, so that we have this, if that was why I was adding this. So okay, let me continue. Then one of the things I would want to do again is, when you write, I would like to add an item that's to the div. So let's say item all, yeah, dot class list. Class list, that's dot add. So I'm adding a class list to the whatever to this. So to the div will now have a class list. When I'm done with this, you would actually see what I actually mean. That's the endpoint, the end product. I would show you the source code. That's on lifestyle value. See how it's being structured. So after doing this, what this one actually just does is to add item all class to div. That's, I'm adding this item all class to this div that is done. So you can see item or class list, add this class list to this div. So now the main part, I would also still want to, when I'm here, I've created my div, but if you could see, when I'm writing things, I would also still want to have another p tag so that I don't just have my words big. What p tag means is paragraph. So that whenever I'm putting things inside there, I can have something like, I don't know how to type with this.
Just type, it's active already.
Okay. I can have something like Toby, and for example, Otenaike inside there. So, and I don't want it to have that's kind of structure. So it be a text. So now I need to add same thing. So now it's the item. So you remember, I use item to actually get the value, but I would also be using the item here, but I've actually removed it. So I can just do item, const item equals document dot create element. Then I would say I'll give it a p tag, which is paragraph. Having this actually, let me also comment the code so that when you're reading it, you'll be able to understand what is happening. I know the first time you may not fully understand, but with comments, you will understand more when you are reading it. So this actually creates a new paragraph. Okay. Paragraph for the tax That's the item task, item text. So it adds this inside this div. That's what it's to do. Then after adding this, what I would want to do again is I would want to add a class to it, just the way I did it. So let me just copy what is here. I would also want to give it a class because I've styled those classes already. So I'll just change this to item. Then I would also remove this, change this to item because I'm using item here. This can actually be any name depending on what you're actually styling. So this can be any name. So this one is adding item to the p tag, to the p element. That's the paragraph element. Then now, what I want to do next also now is now to get the values. This is where everything that I just said is just me trying to style up whatever is coming in and put it up. But for me, I've shown you how to get those values, or now I could get those values. Not necessarily Java. They're not actually JavaScript on front end. This is actually some front end part, but I'm only trying to make it beautiful. This is actually the back end part of the JavaScript. So I would want to say, after this, I would also want to now add the item class when I did here. So let me just copy what I have here. Let me add it here. Okay, no, sorry. Let me remove this. Yeah. Then this will be item dot inner text. So item, whatever, I've added item, so it's actually doing so item dot inner text. Inner text. So now take the input.tl, then value. So whatever is written here, I'm trying to attach it to this. So when it's done, what I need to do again now is to put my item all dot append. I would explain all of this, append child bracket item. So let me just save this and let me type in something here. And let's see. It should make sense now. Then I would explain everything all over. I add item. Sorry. Let me see. Let me spell anything.
Sorry, I don't know if the indentation is okay.
Or do you have to put semicolon
Yes, you
after
made a
every
mistake.
statement?
You made a mistake at input. Input is just one T, not double T. Oh, okay. It's correct. It's correct.
I think it is double T.
Yeah, it's double T.
You don't need to put a semicolon after every statement.
Actually, does not really matter.
They work just fine.
Work just fine.
What about line 21?
Item dot class list.
I think the issue here is trying to make the message display on the screen, right?
Shouldn't we check the console to see what the error they're writing there so that we can correct from there?
There's no error. No error. Yeah. Let me see what this is actually sending. Yeah, it's sending something it's sending the class I, but it's not adding it to the item all.
What if it's sending, but the writing is black and we can't see it because the background is black? I'm just saying.
No, so let me see the element. Let me see.
How do we know that item is a class?
Item,
Yeah.
I don't understand what you mean.
How do you identify it as a class there?
A class.
Is it a CSS class?
Is it this class list that added here? Is that what you mean?
No, the item in line 21.
Line 21. No, that's the CSS class. It's a CSS class. It's a
It's on the
CSS class.
CSS file too.
Yes, it's a CSS class.
Okay. Hmm.
Oh, sorry.
Or can we use
I'm sorry. I forgot to actually add this. So now it's actually not sending anything to anywhere. So this is where I wanted to. I'm not targeted this to-do list. Sorry. I've not targeted the to-do list. So what I need to actually do to make it display, all I need to do is do I'll have this list item dot append child. Then I would add this item all. Yeah. So now if I refresh this, if this is being refreshed, then I had something. You can see. So this is out now here. And the issue was because I did not put, after adding this append, it appended to this, but I did not send it to the HTML where it's supposed to be displayed, which is the to-do list. So let me go over the code again and explain so that we can understand. Don't worry, this class might actually end around 12:30. So this is it. From the start, I defined a function to add a new to-do item. That's like I needed to actually add something that would listen to whatever button, that would listen to what is clicked. So then prevent default, that's actually to prevent it from refreshing whenever it types, so that it does not refresh and does not give you different behavior. So majorly when you're trying to whenever you're using an input field, it's always advisable to add this prevent default. Then ignoring this is just to show you how the code was run. Then this const item dot all, this actually majorly is it's not something that's supposed to concern you as the backend person, but it's been added just so that we could actually see the output of it. So this item dot all, this item or document dot create element div. So if I should check on this, if I should come, you could see I only added to-do list in my HTML tag. So because I was able to do this document.create element to add a div to it, I was able to add this next div. Then in this next div, I was also able to tell it that help me to add a class into the div. Into the div, which added the class item all into it. Then I was able to also tell it that const item, then create another one into the div, then put this item all. Create a p tag, then put the item all. So you create a p tag, then add this item into it. And that's where we had this. Then this paragraph of this is now adding the p tag, whatever is getting into this p tag, into this div. I don't know if that makes sense a little. You have a
At all. I don't even understand anything.
You have a box. You have a div, which is actually this div, this to-do list div. Then I told the JavaScript to help me create another div into that div. So I'm having another box inside the next div with this function. Then I need to style this div. I then tell this item, blah, 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 class list, to hide this item all as a class into this div. So this is actually having a class of item all. Then I created another p tag. This p, I created another p tag. I created another p tag. Then I gave it a class also, which is this item all. Then I need to add this item all into this. So I had to tell the JavaScript to actually item all dot append child item. So now this is now acting like a mother, taking the child element. So telling it that append this as a child, which is like taking this div and putting it inside this.
Okay.
So that's why you could actually get
so the parent element is the original div that you created on the HTML.
Yes, the parent element is what I created here.
Mm-hmm.
While the child element, the first child element is this.
Is the second div.
Yes.
Yeah.
Then another child element is this p tag.
Hello, Mr. Toby,
But
can
this
you hear
p tag, yes, I can hear you.
Okay, you see, some of us, I'm hearing the word parent, I'm hearing the word child. Some of us don't have an idea of front end. So most of the terminology you're using is a little bit confusing. And also talking about creating a div and all of that. What about if you take out the front end, like what do you call it? The text area you created, maybe it's confusing some of us.
Okay, please,
and you just solve the problem with the JavaScript.
Yeah. So let's ignore this. Let's ignore this. Let's ignore this. Item dot this and console log item. So list dot then this should be item. But I need to display it out. So that's why I added this. So list does this item. So let me just save this and come back here. So now let me type in something. Although it's not going to be styled. I add item.
I don't think this commenting them out.
Because okay, could we just actually ignore this part? It's because of the styling that I added this, because now I can't say anything here. I can't say anything. So it's almost like that.
But if we ignore it and we're given work to do, how do we now do it? Since it's actually needed.
You don't have them. The front end will actually undo those ones. That's all. Because to do the major thing I want to actually teach you to do is the create, remove, add, and remove, like all. So now this is actually like adding item. And what actually used to do that is this append child after I got this.
I think this front end part would also help, for the visuals.
That's actually added. So when you want to create, just ignore the front end part. Is that okay?
No, that's all right.
Yeah, I have a
But if we
question.
ignore the front end part, you ignored it just now and it wasn't showing anything. So if
Yeah.
we're ignoring the front end part, how
If
is
you're
it
ignoring
supposed to
the
work?
if you're ignoring the front end part because it does not concern you as a back end developer. So the front end person does the job, and then you go through their code, and then you implement your own whatever functions you want to on the back end of it.
The major purpose of this class actually is just to be able to get all these JavaScript elements. It's not
And which is why I say it's
basically,
important. Yeah.
yeah. So it's just to understand this create element, what create element can do for you, which is like can help you to create a div that gives anyone to front end or something. Or front end actually, because now a front end is having this kind of boilerplate, and it sends it to a back end. Oh, I need to be able to get code for this, my to do this. I don't think you can just write a code then send. The front end would have to, you need to send some things that you have the front end, then you'll be able to like, oh, capture those things. For example, when you send, you need to target something that, okay, when you are sending element, when you don't have a database, for example, now you don't have the database, you need to send something to the front end. With this, you know that, okay, you could use this create to send elements to front end. It could be a class, you could target a class and send item to a class. Then this append child, you could add whatever thing that you've done. Append child is just to add whatever elements that you have in your backend, add more things together so that you can have a parent and a child element.
Yeah. That makes sense.
I don't know if that's okay.
Okay, I want to ask a question.
Okay.
Okay, like you showed us in that illustration, the div and putting another div inside. But when
Yeah.
you do this item all dot class list, you don't show us where you don't draw like another box inside to indicate that the class is inside. So where exactly is the class?
The class is added to the div.
The
Class is
class the
actually
class is what
And go
is
back to
used to
that illustration, that's those boxes you were drawing. So you show us which
Rema,
one is
the
div, which one
class
is class.
no Rema, the class is used to target a particular div.
this is target a particular div to section that is different. I don't know if that's you understand that now.
No, I don't.
Okay, class. Class actually front end stuff though. So you are trying to target a particular div to make sure that it's actually you can distinct it is unique.
Toby, let me help out a bit.
Okay.
So on the front, because I also do front end. So when you're creating a web page or a document, you could have many elements, many divs. So, and when you want to style them, what you would have to do is add a class to them. So that class is like an identifier of which div is which div. So when you want to style, because if you were to style the div, if you were to target the div element or div tag on your CSS, it would affect the whole whatever div. If you have like 5 divs, it will affect all of it. So now what the class does is it helps you target a particular one. So you have different names. So you could have div, give it class 1 or class 2. So that class helps you target a particular div. I don't know if that helped you a bit.
Okay, so divs could have like the same name, but it's the class that differentiates them.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay,
So is that
thank
now
you.
okay?
Yeah.
Okay.
No, sorry, a very quick one.
Yeah.
Hello.
Yeah, I can hear you.
That it prevents default.
Yeah.
He said to avoid refresh
Yes.
of the add item button. No, not.
Yes.
Yeah, that's
Let me
line 9, 8 rather. Yeah.
Yeah.
So if we don't put prevent if dot prevent default, what would be the implication?
Okay. So now, as it's actually said here, event or prevent default means stop default action of elements from happening. So for example, a submit button from submitting a form. you are doing some things, and as you are writing, let me remove this prevent default and let's see, so that you could actually see it work. Try and get it from the console log. Things that's stressing me out. So, do you mind me going back to forms? Actually, no, don't let me go back into forms. But majorly, let me.
What are you trying to do, Toby?
E dot prevent default just does not. Well, actually, when you are using form, majorly that's when you need to send something out, or you need to actually get something. That's when you use the e dot prevent default, so that it does not take whatever you are using and probably sending it out to another URL.
Okay.
Yeah, and you could see this is actually the better explanation of it here. This prevent method will prevent the link above from following the URL. Clicking it, nothing is happening. But it's a
Is that
link.
what happens?
Yeah, but it's a link.
So it's like on HTML. There's when you want a link to not go anywhere. There's you
Yeah,
use the hash this thing sign.
yeah, it the prevent method. So, but no matter how I click, it does not go anywhere. But you can see, but this is a link. You can see it here. Href, A, and it's been targeted from here. But because of this a dot prevent default, it does not go anywhere. I don't know if you understand now.
I think I get it. Meaning that if the content of what is in the test area is a clickable content, it will take you to, there will be no action on it after.
Yeah.
So it's like what is in this code is in the HTML file, not the JavaScript file. That's
So
the
that's actually JavaScript. Prevent default is a JavaScript function that just prevents it from, no matter what happens, no action is being taken. You define your action yourself. You don't want it to actually perform an action by itself. Because normally when you click a submit button, what happens is that it refreshes your page. If I remove this and I run this and I click on this, you can see it brought me to another page. I don't know if you saw that, but with this, if I run this, no matter how long I click this, it does nothing. But if I remove it, if I remove this function and I run it, then I come back to click this, it opens up another this thing. So it does prevent default, it disables it from submitting. So let me go back.
Hello,
So
hello, Toby, please, can you come again with that explanation?
it does prevent default. It prevents your code, that's either your link or some submit button or your action. It prevents an action from happening. So with this, it does prevent default. If I click on this, no matter how long I click on this thing, it will not perform any action. It has already told you that no, don't do anything. Even if they click on you, unless I've defined an action here for it, that okay, when they click on it, do this. But in as much as I've not defined any action, disable the action that is coming from it naturally. So if I should remove this and I run this and I click on this, it now works. Now, do you understand a bit?
Okay. Yes, I do. That's that block of code you just remove, that line of code you removed just now, is actually
Yes,
preventing that link from taking you
yes,
somewhere.
yes, and this is actually the link, which is the event.prevent default. That's what is handling. If I should remove this, the other one is just a function of it. So you can see.
So essentially, it's removing the default behavior of the button.
Yes, it's removing the default behavior, but now, so you need to add your own behavior to it. Then that's where it comes in, which is what's happening here. Okay, so going further from here, now we've been able to add our item successfully into the HTML. But now you want to delete and you want to like check that you are done with it. This is some of the JavaScript part. So let me just do ignore this part. That's create. I want to create a trash button. So I can say const. I also want a button so that I can see how the delete works. Else I would have not done this front end stuff, because to-do list is more front end and back end. So document dot create element, then I can say it's actually a button. I want it to be button. Then now the button, now what should the button have? I need to put something inside the button. So I can say trash button dot inner. You know what inner HTML means? Inner HTML is actually like you are trying to get you're trying to put this into this thing, whatever I write here, take it as like an HTML property to send it to the front end. And from the back end, I'm trying to say that my results that I'm sending to the front end should come out in this kind of format. So then I can now put equals, then hyphen, then let me go and get, I'm using font awesome. So I would have gotten, okay, let me just write it since I know it. So I class, so there's a class of font awesome that gives me a trash icon. So let me just say class, what was it? I'm trying to like recall.
FAS.
Yeah, FA dash solid, then FA dash trash slash I. Let me use this one as double. This one as double. Okay, then I would not want to add a class to.
Sorry, Toby.
Yeah.
Toby. Sorry. Quickly, I want to ask a question. The font awesome you are using, is it an extension on your VS Code, or how did you?
I installed it. I picked it up and I took it and installed it. You can see, so this is it. Dot, I need to add a class list. So I can say class list dot add. brackets, trash dash button, trash that button. Then I would also still want to append this inside my, what is it called? My div. Remember, I created a div here. I appended the items inside that div. That's the p tag inside that div. Then I would also want to do the same thing here. So I'll just say trash button and I'll save.
We are not appending to the to-do list this time around.
Okay, yeah, sorry. We need to do that also. Oh, no, we actually added this to the to-do list. So this is actually taking everything. We're not appending to the to-do list. This has taken everything. So it has taken the item all, which is the div. And now we have actually added this to the div. So I don't know if you get that. I don't even understand what that I just said now.
Yes.
I'm sorry, excuse, please. What does it mean to append?
Append is you are adding.
To
Okay,
attach.
okay.
Yeah, attach, exactly. So now I've added the button here. So let's now work. Let me do the same thing for the check button. Then I will not do because since it's not JavaScript, what's it called, HTML class. So let me just duplicate this and just say check button. Then I'll go to the JavaScript part.
Sorry, Toby.
Yeah.
This trash button with the hyphen that we added to the class list, is it a fresh class or was it already in the HTML?
Okay, the fresh class that is added to this, what is it called? That has been added to this check button. That's this button. Do you get? I created a button here. So it's automatically taking it to the HTML. You are using from the back end, you are sending it to the HTML.
Otherwise, you could have done all of this on the HTML end.
Yes. But the purpose of this class majorly is, okay, now, for example, you're a backend person and HTML person is not very conversant or something, and you guys need to create something. So there are ways you can send your data to the HTML, even without you having a full understanding of HTML and CSS. Yeah.
Sorry, please. This FA solid, FA trash. I don't really understand.
Okay, FA solid. That's actually I found awesome. This thing I can actually use a button. I can use a name, and it will work. So I think I just use a name.
Okay, but like, what does it do? Like this, I know you said it shows on.
It's actually an icon. It's an icon.
Icon.
This icon you can see
here. Oh.
This bin icon you can see here.
Okay, I guess so. Because I was wondering how the icon came to be. All right, thank you.
So when you point to that icon, it shows a red color. Did you do that in JavaScript?
Style. So the front end will actually pick it up and style it. It's what you've sent. So I don't go into that so that we don't get confused. What I say, the front end person will pick it up, their style, whatever you sent. So then this would be check, FAFA check. So let me save this and let's see. Still loading. This is now delete and a checkbox, but because of my style, this actually came first.
Hello, Toby. I wanted to ask,
yes.
When you're creating a to-do list, you have like a list of items or things you want to do. So do you like create a storage for all of this to go in?
Yes, you're actually supposed to create a storage for it. That should be another class. I'm taking another JavaScript class. We'll be creating a storage that would actually save this. So furthermore, you would, because when you get from what is it called, when you get when you further more in JavaScript to Node, you would see when you create a to-do list. So this is actually just a mini CRUD operation you are trying to do. A CRUD operation is not sending anywhere. So now we created, then we could delete. Then the last part is actually edit, but we're not doing edit. I was planning to actually put that as a task, but as I'm looking at it, a lot of people may not be able to attempt it. But it's a good to do, because you could actually create, you could delete and edit, and that's what backend is more about. CRUD.
Yeah.
You could create, update, and delete rather. So having this, now we need to add functions to this. When you click on this, what happens? When you click on delete, what happens on the code part? So now, what we need to do is, so let me just, this is the end of this part. So I need to create another function. What the function is actually going to do, the first function I did there is to undo the button. So whenever I click on the button, what should happen? It sends this to this. Then I added this and I added this. Then I need to create another function that will undo what happens after this has performed its function. What should this do? And what should this do? This is expected to say, okay, I've completed the task. While this is expected to say, delete the task from my friend face. I don't want it. So to do that, what I need to do is just to call a function. And I would say, let's say, now, it's actually now, I'm not going to target this task to-do list. This to-do list. I'll have to target to-do list. So I'll say, what's the name? Dot. What I want it to do, I want it to add event listener. I'll need to add an event listener to it. Then I would say, what should happen to it when the event, when you see click, when it's being clicked. Click, comma, then the same function that we added above, then this is actually a function of JavaScript to add functions. This is like adding function without having to write the function. What is it called? This shortcut of adding function, what they call arrow functions. I don't know if you guys have gone through arrow functions.
No, I haven't.
Okay. What arrow functions majorly does is, let me show you what the normal function that happens. The normal function that happens is you having this a then saying function, then having this. This is how normal function look like. This is how normal function looks like. This function. This function. But the arrow function is one that would remove that part and just take it straight up. So it just shortens your code. So I believe you would have more detailed course on arrow functions. And on the function itself.
Yeah, when do we use like this add event listener and do not do okay, never mind.
Okay, to do that about event listener is when you need to listen to something, when you need it to actually perform an option on maybe click, on focus, on over, or something. So for example, on the front end, when you actually listen to front end submit button, so when on submit, is backend that handle that on submit. The backend add that function to say when it's submitted, they get those data, it's been sent, the backend receives and say it's listening to whatever they sent. And now I want to actually do this. I want to send it to the database on submit. So I can yeah.
And I don't know, I think I missed it. Like the beginning part, right? The first when we're doing the first const, where you use the dot query selector, like why did you use, is it just dot query selector that you can use? Where we're doing the line 1, is it line 1? I've been line 2, I've been line 3. I don't even get what I'm saying.
No.
like this kind. Okay, yeah. When we're doing this const input TDL equals to document dot query selector. So say this query select, right? Query selector. Is it just query selector that we can use, or there's like another
there's another
method?
You can use get element by ID. You can use what's it called, the class or other one. That's like, is it get element by class or class? I think.
Okay, so if we use document dot get element by class, it's the same thing as the dot query selector.
Yes. I've changed all of it.
Like Toby mentioned earlier, query selector is like a general thing for it. So it doesn't matter if you have a class or an ID.
Exactly.
Then also this.
Yeah.
Okay, then this the one that you put in the bracket, that's the string the text area. So the JavaScript reads it as a tag, like the tag for the class.
Yes.
Instead of like, okay. Because I was kind of confused because when we're writing something, I want to put like a variable, that when we're doing variable, then we put on the variable, we write in string, then the variable, so it's writes it out. So I was
okay.
Thank you.
So does that answer your question?
Yes. I just want to be sure, like this string, because I was thinking that when the item is in string and it's write it out like as a normal text, but these strings they're taking it as tags. The JavaScript is reading it as a tag. Since I don't know if
I'm not sure I quite understand what you were saying.
Like what I'm saying is, like, when we're doing the when we're doing the verb, when we do like if this, you pass the test and stuff like that, then you write
If you're
that
trying to
text.
if you are trying to declare a variable, is that what you're saying?
Yes.
So
Yeah, when
then the data type is a string.
Yes, JGet.
Okay.
So this case is being read as a tag. So it was like a different light in the sense.
What this whole thing does is like, this is a way to manipulate HTML elements, or you're targeting HTML elements.
But
So that's why.
One other thing that I would also want to impute is the difference between query selector and what is it called? Get element by ID
or class.
Or what is it called? The get element by ID is actually read only. So you can't actually really perform any option in it.
Okay.
Yeah. If I should do what is it called? Let me say, yeah. Let me just change this. Sorry. Yeah. Get element by class name. You'll see what will happen. I remove this. You'll see the error. Because now it's actually read only. You cannot it does not allow you to perform another thing. That's what I mean when they say something read only. Normal even docs or something. When they say it's read only. If I click on it, you can see what it says. Button dot event dot element is not a function.
It's not a function.
So because it's actually read only, it does not understand what actually defined there. It's almost as if you are trying.
So what is read only, please?
Read only is actually
read only.
Yes.
Like I thought you were trying to say redundant all this while.
Read only is actually like you can't write.
Can't make an edit. Cannot make an edit.
Yes, you can just read it.
Then when do we use something like, for example, this document does get element by class name this, then what we now use
when you need to target when you need to target a class, you don't target the class and just do something maybe just change. You want to change it or something. I don't know if you understand a bit.
Okay, what I was asking is like the time I think I was trying to practice something, and then when I think it was one of the forms that was given to us. They use like document that gets element by ID, put it in string, then dot on click, so that when you click on it, it's
okay. Let me show you something. Let me show you something real quick so that you guys understand this other part. So going back, so let me show you. Let me just script. Let me use script. Let me put my script. Let me say here. Script. You know what script is now? Huh?
Yeah.
Okay, great. So script, let me just say something like const color. Put, then I want to get, let me say this container. I want to get this container. So I can say document dot get elements by class name. And I can say container. Then I would also want to now say now const. Sorry, color dot style.
Your spellings are not the same.
Oh. Dot background color. Background writing color. And I can say let me see.
Please, can we meet our mic, please?
Let's see what happens.
Abdul Razak, please, can you mute your mic?
Thank you. So you can see what is it called did. Get element by class name. If I need to target a class name and do a CSS, maybe add a CSS or even change something in it, that's when it's best to use this for it. Do you get? So even when I do get element, get query selector, let's do query selector dot query selector. There needs to be a dot. And let's see. You can see it didn't work. And what did it say? Cannot read property styles or undefined. Query selector will not allow you to do all these minor, what is it called? Like on change color, you want to do maybe perform little actions. But if you need to actually perform better options, like better actions, then this is when you use query selector. I don't know if that explains a little about it. One thing I can actually do is to drop a document about the difference about both of them.
Yes, please.
Okay, so please, you can send me a DM. I'm Toby on Slack. That's TOBY. I'll be able to attend to that. Yeah. So now let's now perform this our action here, which is actually we want to list name and we want to target this list ID to be able to perform the delete and remove. Like I said, the major purpose of this class is for you guys to understand remove, delete, like crude operation, that's create, update, and delete. And now you see now we could add with append and append, you could actually add things. Now to remove, what you need to do is after you created a function, you've created your class list, then you now need to put this your function saying const to-do lists. No, cost item actually. I've used item all through. So cost item equals e dot target. Now I want to actually target something. So I'm saying e dot target is like event listing to something. I'm trying to tell you to listing. Now adding event listener. Then I need to point out something Instead of me using what is it called, we actually did the first one, calling the to-do list and all. No. Now I'm telling you that inside that your list element, which is where you had this your to-do list. Now I need to target an element that I want to style. I don't know if that part you understand what I'm trying to do with that in the target. So its function is actually to get an element that is clicked. Then now, if the check icon is clicked, now let me now write the function for that. So now if bracket item dot class list, then this bracket 0, which is like targeting the first element, equals as triple equals 2, which is one thing that you should also understand as a backend person. The double equals, the difference between double equals 2 and the triple equals 2. Check dot button. Now target that button. If the check button is clicked, now I've gotten the class. That means looking for this class name that we added here. That is being unique. So it's looking for it. Then it's now saying, if that is done, then now I would have to say const to-do list, which is just any name, to-do list equals item dot parent element. Parent. Can I say parent? Some more. Parent elements. Forgot this.
I wanted to make sure that I forgot the block.
Yeah. The parent element. Then now it now checks for the parent element after doing this. Then now what I want to do is to-do list dot class list dot toggle. That's when it's clicked. Dot toggle bracket slash checklists. So now this toggle is actually another function on its own. And this checklist is actually something I've actually styled. So let me save this and let's see. I will explain all this code again before we close. I will explain what happened here.
Sorry, Toby, is this your web browser? This current page? Sorry, this current screen.
Yes.
Okay, I have some questions afterwards.
Okay. When I click on this, you see what happens. Let me write a longer list. Hello, how are you? When I say add item, when I do this check, it add, that means it is done. What was able to target this is actually this toggle class list.
That's why it's canceling it.
Toby.
Yes.
Hello, Toby. Yeah, please, can you point me to the parent element?
This parent element.
Yeah.
Okay, on the to-do list.
Yes.
Okay, the parent element is. Let me check it on here.
Okay, I want to understand what's going on.
Okay.
Why are they being cancelled?
That's what actually happened. The cancel is actually like check you, they are done with it. So this is what we actually called the first one. Then it actually returns back from this check button that we called here, check button. Then check button to go to the parent element. And you could see check button is under what? Item all.
Item all. Okay.
Item all. So as under item all, then now is now adding class list
The method.
a method which acts the function of cancel. You understand? It add this to it. So that's why you could see that this is actually what is it called? Checklist, a new CSS. But this one does not have it. It's not checked. But once I check it, the I class list will automatically come to it, which is like a style. So all of these are things that you send to the front end, and what the front end does is just pick them, undo them, and just style it. But because I've written the style, that's why it's this way. Yours is actually just right. Target whatever you need to target from the front end. That's why it's good to actually see the structure of the front end or a design before you actually design.
So this cancel now that this thing cancelled, where did we write that it should cancel?
In CSS, and I said I don't go to CSS. This is actually what made it cancel. I said I should go to CSS. So that the bad thing about backend, actually, good thing about backend is that when you write your code, you don't see what is actually happening in the front. You use your postman to see the data that is returning. So if this is actually made backend, then you will not even have an interface. You won't see what you are returning. Everything will be done on console, and console will never tell you to check.
So you mean you just be working and typing codes? You don't know how it's going to look like.
That's why to-do list majorly is the front end, back end stuff. So that's why whenever I'm writing your code, you have to that's most backend that I know always try to mock their data, even though it's not beautiful. See the output. I don't know if you understand me. Seeing the output before you even send it to the front end, reduce the point where the front end will tell you that, oh, you wrote a code that is not working for me, but you've tested a little. Then they actually brought the feature that it is the data they are saving. They brought Postman and they brought Swagger that you can actually see the data that is being sent. I don't know if that's okay.
Yes, Henry.
All right. I have some questions.
Okay, let me just do the last one, which is the trash button. So item.class list, then I also want to target the trash button. To say whenever I have that, then I say still also const to-do list get element by this. But now this period, what I want it to do is to-do list don't put any class list for me. Just remove. Just remove. And whenever I have this thing, like I said, the major purpose of this class for you to understand all this toggle, remove, append child, add, create elements. Me just explaining it to you without something like this. You may never, you come across it, but you may not understand what you need to do when they say, okay, I need to remove a data from when it is actually click something, please let me remove it from the back end. So let me say then if I need to delete it, all I can do is just click on this and it deletes. That remove did that function for me, for it to delete. But now, one other thing that I want you guys to take note of before we actually start picking questions. You notice that when I click add item, this thing does not leave. Just stays there. You understand? I have to come and cancel. That means I've written a lot of things that will come back and come out to cancel. But the best way to actually do that is just to come back to your element that you've written here. What you just need to do is do your input TDLA blah 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 dot value equals empty, which means when they add anything, once they click add item, this thing should actually, this input value, which is the text area, should become empty. You should delete whatever is there and just put yourself at empty. which would, as you can see, I don't have to come back and come and start deleting. It automatically removes itself for me with just that little addition of input dot value equals empty. So one of the things I want to do now is I would like to use the remaining minutes that we have to take questions. I'd love to take any of your questions.
Yeah, hello, Mr. Toby.
Yeah.
Trash.
Okay, I would like to find out, is there any material as regarding this particular topic you're treating right now? Any document? So.
Okay, that will actually be posted, or I would actually send a document to that inside, that's the backend group. Would that be okay?
Okay, thank you.
Inside the backend group.
Sorry, this item.class list, I saw it's something like indexing 0.
Yes.
Please, like,
I don't want to try
where
to explain this. So what this actually does is you are, backend generally code starts JavaScript start counting from 0, 1,
0,
2.
yes.
Understand? So now this actually taking it that go to the parent list.
Oh, okay.
Go to the parent list, which is like what I even added here. So
that's the first div.
Yes. Then add the class to it. If item, you understand, the parent list, which is trash, equals trash icon. Then,
okay. Then add the okay.
Yes.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
So is there any question?
Yes, I have.
Okay.
Okay. Please, can you go to your web browser, the window of your web browser? I have some questions. Okay. My own is that it is nice that at least I should know what I am using to write my code, check my code, and the rest. So right now I can see tabs of elements, console, sources, network, performance. Like right now, I actually don't know how all this is, what they are for. I just know that you write some code, go to console, and then you see whatever you've written, and then elements, all these ones. I don't actually know what they are. Don't know, please, if you can actually just share.
I'll not go deep into it, but I would explain what happens. Elements majorly is for front end, back end actually still use it also. You should see the structure of your code. Here is actually, you can see everything that is like code, front end code. Here you could read whatever is in your code. You could see the styling also.
This code, sorry, this code, are you the one that wrote them already, or is just there?
Yes, some of them I was going to wrote them. For example, this container title, container to-do list. These are the codes that you could see here. Container title, container title, container to-do list. While some of them, these other ones are just inbuilt Chrome codes. And this one is extension. That's Grammarly extension.
Okay.
Then console is to add your errors. Is to undo errors, and also you can also, when you do console.log, this is where you would see your things.
Okay, you mean whenever I input the code console.log, that's where I'll get my output.
Yes. Yeah, where you get your output from. Okay. Sources. You also write code in this part of sources. You can write your custom code. That's when you don't need to write. You want to actually test some things. Beginners use this also, just to test how it's going to work. And what we just did now, we only did the client-side JavaScript. This to-do list is actually client-side JavaScript. And when I mean client-side, everything that happens is actually like interactions with the client. Like there's no interaction with the database, that's the server. JavaScript is actually divided into two parts, that's backend. We have the client side and we have the server side. Server side, major listing is what happens at the back. That's you sending data to the back end, then expecting a response from the back end. So the front end sends data to the back end. Then when it's expecting a response from the back end, that's when the server side is being integrated. That actually tells you the status of your of your response. But don't let us go deep into that. Then here you would also see the page you are rendering, which is from here. Index, you will see the structure. These are my own extensions. Network is when you want to actually see what is happening, like the response that is coming on. So let me just cancel this. And now let me click. And let me click. You can see that these are extensions there. These are actually extensions. There's nothing happening. If that they were sending something to the backend, you would have seen some code to tell me what is processing, the status is bringing. So let's just stop there for now. So does anyone have another question for the next 5 minutes? Then we can call it a day.
Hello, Mr. Toby.
Yeah.
Okay, another question is it possible for us to have those materials before the class so that we can study ahead before we even commence the class? Is it possible?
That would be implemented. What that's the Xylus. That would be implemented. Is that okay?
Okay, that's a
And Toby, one more thing. I don't know if maybe just as a reminder, I would like you to provide your source code for this project.
I will.
Okay. Thank you very much.
Can you give us the GitHub link?
Yes, I will. I will. Do you have any other question? Okay, I think that's all. I don't know. Maybe just one
Yes, sir.
person. Okay.
Really, you uploaded to YouTube.
Yes, we uploaded to YouTube.
How soon can that be, sir?
Huh?
How soon can it be?
I'll do that. Let me even see if I can do that now.
You're still recording.
Have I stopped?
I can still see recording.
Okay, so let me just